Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another video, and in today's video I am going to share with you my own preterist library. So many people have recently been asking for me to share all of the books that I either have or have read on preterism, and I really wasn't sure what format I wanted to do it in, whether I just wanted to pull them all off my shelf and show them to you, or if I just wanted to show them to you right here on the screen. And I figured that this would be the easiest way, is just to show you here on the screen, because this way you have two options. You can either watch the video and listen to any commentary that I might give on these books, especially those books that I have already read, because some of them I haven't yet. Or you could just jump down to the description where I will have the entire list of books with links for, if you'd like to check them out on Amazon or to purchase them elsewhere. I think there's only one book that you are not able to get on Amazon. But let's get started. These books are not in any certain order. They're not in the order that I read them, or in the order of my favorite to my least favorite, or vice versa. It just happened to be how I had them on my shelf. So that's how I'm going to share them with you. So the first one is Armageddon Deception: The Eschatology of Islam and Zionism, a Biblical Response. And that is by Michael Sullivan. And I did finish this entire book, and I learned so much from it, and there's so much that I agree with him on, because I see a lot of what is happening in the world today where they are using the state of Israel and Zionism to try to manipulate Christians and those who are sympathetic to their cause, and in many cases they are trying to create their own self-fulfilling prophecy of Revelation for their own nefarious purposes. And included in that, so he talks about that, but he also does include a lot of the explanations of full preterism and why it is, in my opinion, the closest eschatological view to what the Bible specifically says. The next book is Revelation Realized: Martyr Vindication from Genesis to Revelation by Samuel Dawson. I'm actually reading this book right now, and I haven't gotten very far in it. I'm on chapter 4, which is only at page 109. And this is actually, something that is great for you to read side by side with the book of Revelation, because each chapter goes over that correlating chapter in Revelation and gives a great explanation for the things that are happening in that book. So you can think of it as like an exposition of Revelation, in my opinion. Not as extensive as the Days of Vengeance, which I do have and I'll be showing you, but it is a really good book for you to read alongside the book of Revelation in your studies. The next one is not specifically a preterist book at all. The author is not a preterist, and some of the things that he says in the book definitely give you an indication that he is not a preterist. But coming from a full preterist perspective, when you are the one who is reading this book, which, by the way, is Pagan Christianity: Exploring the Roots of Our Church Practices by Frank Viola and George Barna, it is really easy to see how these things came into play, especially if you understand, exactly, how the Bible was written, who it was written to. You as a full preterist, you do begin to question these things anyway, and why church does things the way that they do when it doesn't seem to be very familiar with what we've read in the Bible. Full preterism has really opened up the Bible to me in a way that nothing else ever has. And this book, Pagan Christianity, answers a lot of the questions that I have had. The next book is The Oath: What If Jesus Already Came Back? And this is by Scott Brandon. This book I have not read yet. I just recently got it. As you can see, I got it September 7th. And I paged through it, and I can tell that it is going to be, I don't want to say an easy read, because I don't want to make it sound like it's juvenile. It's not juvenile, but I have been also reading Don Preston books, and Don Preston is so, so, so intelligent that when I read his books, he shares so much stuff that there are many times that I have to keep reading something and rereading it in order to understand like the full implications of what he's saying. So every once in a while, like after reading a Don Preston book, I will then, lean more towards a book that is written in a little bit of a more, I guess I could say a more layman style. I'm Don Preston probably is going to say, well, my books are written for the layman. Yes, for very, 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 very intelligent lay people. So anyway, yeah, the Oath certainly seems like it's going to be a good one for me to read when I need a brain break. But again, and it's certainly something that is going to be beneficial too. The Destruction of Jerusalem. I have this one, the illustrated edition, and it says an absolute and irresistible proof of the divine origin of Christianity. And this is by George Peter Holford. And I actually read the digital copy of this book, the one that's in the archives, the free domain, the free is it public domain version I read, and I have playlist of this book. But this book, The Destruction of Jerusalem, is obviously about the destruction of Jerusalem, which happened from about 66 to 70 AD. And it includes a lot of the historical accounts by Josephus. It includes accounts by Tacitus, Eusebius, Suetonius, many others, but mainly Josephus. And the author of this book ties in how those happenings, those events during that time period correlated with end times prophecy. Next one is Raptureless by Jonathan Welton. Someone in the comments section recommended this book to me. So my daughter, I just recently had my birthday last month, and one of my daughters said to me, "Hey, what do you want for your birthday?" And I sent her like a few different books that she could choose from if she wanted to get me a book, and she chose this book. She told me she liked it because it had like the leather bound look because she likes nice looking books. So this is what she got for me for my birthday. This is another book that I have not read yet. I have paged through it and I have actually, seen a lot of good stuff in it so far. I do believe that this is the book that the beginning of it, he starts out sharing a lot from the destruction of Jerusalem that I just shared with you. So, oh yeah, and it even does say here leather bound. So this is it's a really nice looking book, and on top of that, it's going to be very beneficial, especially because there are so many people who believe in the rapture, and I'm hoping that this will give me some good arguments, some different arguments than what I already have for those people. The next one is Wars and Rumors of Wars by Gary DeMar. I have not read this book yet, and Gary DeMar is not a full preterist. He's a partial preterist, at least to my knowledge. But he is also he's a partial preterist who is not one of those partial preterists who will call anyone who disagrees with them a heretic. He's not like that at all. He is very friendly with full preterists and will actually speak at their conferences. And I listen to his podcast all the time. It's on American Vision. I can't remember the name. Bible Prophecy Under the Microscope. So I listen to that all the time. And Kristen from Heretic Chick Chat, she did a few videos where she was mentioning this book because she was going to try to do a book club with her friends with this book, and it didn't work out really well. And you can find out more about that on her channel. But anyway, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this book too. So I have it, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Okay, the next one that I'm going to share is Full Preterism Ignored but Fulfilled: How the Church Missed the End of the World. And the author is William John Rankin Taylor. I don't know if I said that one name right. This is actually Willie T. So he has his own YouTube channel, great YouTube channel. And I saw that he had written a book, and Kristen also recommended this one to me too. So she got this one as well. And I was going to get it anyway, but then she reminded me about it because I actually had forgotten about it. So I'm looking forward to reading this. And the thing is that I have so many books that I have not read yet. My son-in-law, he always asks, if you had a superpower, what would it be? And I always say that my superpower would be being able to read and comprehend and retain multiple books all at the same time. Like I just want to lay them out in front of me and somehow be able to absorb all of them so I don't have to, read them one at a time and take forever to get through them. But so far that hasn't happened yet. Next one is Have Heaven and Earth Passed Away? A study of Matthew 5:17 to 18 and the passing of the law of Moses by Don Preston. And this book I have read. I finished the entire book and I actually did a few videos on it, and he's very comprehensive. It's a short study, but it's Don Preston. So there's going to be a lot of meat in it, and there is in this as well. And it really, helps to drive home, what Jesus said in Matthew 5:17 and 18, that, not one jot or tittle will pass from the law until heaven and earth have passed away. And he shares so many parallel passages that support that as well. Next, Israel 1948, Countdown to Nowhere. This is also by Don Preston. I have read this book also in its entirety, and I recommend this book to anyone who thinks that the state of Israel today has anything at all to do with Bible prophecy, because this will show you maybe where you may be mistaken. Next book, 70 Weeks Are Determined for the Resurrection, also by Don Preston. This one I got a few months ago. I have not started reading this book yet, but I'm looking forward to it. On Time. By now you should know that I have read this book. I mention it all the time, and I actually am doing a book discussion on it. So it's On Time, Re-Examining the End Times and Jesus' Return, and this is by John Paul Miles. And yeah, this was the very first full preterist book that I ever read. It explained things to me so well that so many of the questions that I had, it really put me at ease. And again, this is one of those books that helped me to understand the context of the Bible. Because if you don't understand the context that these prophecies were written in, you're not going to understand the prophecies. So, highly recommend this book to anyone who is new to preterism. And again, I have an on time playlist on my channel if you want to check out that book discussion. I'm still going through it. I just posted, I think it was chapter 20 today, and I think there's either 25 or 27 chapters in it. I don't remember, but we still have a little bit to go yet. Next one, The End is Here, How the New Testament's Prophecies Were Fulfilled by Alex Polyak. Alex is the creator of Bible Fulfilled channel on YouTube. It's a great channel. I read bits and pieces of the book, and I've actually shared some of it in some of my videos because he made a lot of good points. And I just saw this as I was paging through it. A lot of times I will be so excited when I get these new books, and I'll start just paging through them to kind of get an idea of what they're going to be like. And so many of the things that I saw in this one caught my eye, and I really just wanted to jump in and just read it immediately. But my problem is that I'm always reading at least 3 books at a time. Like, I kid you not. And then it takes me forever to finish any one book. And that's a problem. Like, and The End is Here. This is one of the longer books that I got on preterism. So this isn't one that, I'll be able to switch back and forth. I'm going to want to give this one my full attention. But yeah, I'm so fickle when it comes to books. Like right now I'm reading Revelation Realized, Martyr Vindication from Genesis to Revelation. At the same time, I am reading Pagan Christianity, and I'm also reading a book for my biblical womanhood ministry that's called For Women Only. So, and actually I was thinking about starting another of the shorter studies by Don Preston, and I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't. I need to at least finish one of these other books first. Anyway, but I digress. Next one, Case Dismissed, Rebutting Common Charges Against Preterism by Randall E. Otto. I read this entire book. It's just basically like a pamphlet. It's not very long. It's 72 pages, so longer than your typical, pamphlet, but it's not a lengthy read at all, and it has a lot of good information. I don't remember where it was recommended. It might have been in the book The Return of Christ, Why Are We Still Waiting by Pete and Rachel Rue. They have a list of books that they recommend in the back of that book. So it might have been from there. But this is also, it's a good read and it does help you with some of the attacks that people make against preterism that really aren't valid. This one they do not have on Amazon, at least not that I could find. This is Final Decade Before the End, Jewish and Christian History Just Before the Jewish Revolt. And this is by Ed Stevens. It says Edward Stevens. I always call him Ed Stevens. I think that's what most people call him. Yeah, so this one this is the one that I had only in PDF. And I mentioned in one of my on time videos that I have been having such a hard time reading it that I want to read it, but I'm better with reading physical books that are right in front of me. So someone who watches actually was kind enough to print this book out for me and sent it to me, and it actually got to my house on my birthday. So it was just, and she didn't even know it was my birthday. So it was just like a really neat gift. So Final Decade Before the End, I have started reading this one as well. I mention this a lot because he has the timeline for when the New Testament books were written, and he also goes over the when the book of Revelation was written. He goes over how he dated all of the books in the New Testament. The book of Revelation is one of those uh, books in the scriptures that a lot of people will say, no, it was written in 95 AD. And that really is not a good date. You know, many of the people who believe that Revelation was written in 95 AD are going off of what Irenaeus said. But if you actually read what Irenaeus said, it's not even clear what he was talking about. And I'll probably make a video about this at some point. But Ed Stevens, he makes a good case for the dating of all of the books. That's not what the entire book is about, but that's the part that I have gotten through so far. Next, The Days of Vengeance, an exposition of the book of Revelation. Now, my book that I have does not look like this. I couldn't find one like I had. Mine is just like this, like my whole book is just like this. It doesn't have all of this outer stuff. And it's a pretty expensive book, but it's really, really thick. As you can see, 721 pages. The Days of Vengeance, I started reading it. I got about a third of the way through, and then it's just another one of those. It's like Don Preston, except 721 pages, and it's very, very, very meaty. But it explains everything so well. I have the majority of it highlighted what I read, but I realize that this is another one of those books that you would be better to read it either alongside of, you know, if you're reading Revelation on your own, or if you are studying something in Revelation and want a quick reference to one of the chapters, it's helpful to go and, you know, see his perspective on it. But The Days of Vengeance, and David Chilton, when he wrote this book, he was not a full preterist. He did become a full preterist before he died, but when he wrote this book, he was a partial preterist. He was a post-millennialist when he wrote this. Next one, Beyond Creation Science by Timothy Martin and Jeffrey Vaughn. And this book I have finished. I've talked about it in several videos. And this one, it combines like full preterism. You know, a lot of full preterists will look at the eschatology and, you know, we'll say it was a local judgment, and, you know, this was talking about this specific group of people. And what Timothy Martin and Jeffrey Vaughn have done is they have said, you know, the beginning is like the end, you know, and they believe that the beginning was also talking about, you know, a local judgment, specifically when it comes to the flood, and, you know, just talking about a what their basic premise is that the Bible, including the book of Genesis, it is a book of covenants. Okay. And that is what the main thread is throughout the Bible, is covenants. And that is what it is right from the beginning of uh, Genesis. So anyway, and then Timothy Martin, he does have a YouTube channel. I believe that it's called, oh my gosh, I don't remember if it's called Creation Science. No. Well, I'll link his YouTube channel because I feel bad. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll link that in the description. Okay, next is End Times Explained, Understanding the Different Views by Pete and Rachel Rue. And this one is interesting because it actually has a foreword by Kirk Cameron, who you may not know this, but he used to be a premillennialist. He believed in the rapture. He was in the Left Behind movies. And then he, as from what I heard lastly, he's a postmillennialist. And I believe postmillennialists are mainly partial preterists. So at this point in time, Kirk Cameron went from believing in the rapture to now being partial preterist, and he wrote this foreword for this book that was written by full preterists. So I find that to be very interesting. Now, this book itself is not only about full preterism, it includes it, but it explains the different views of the end times. So it's a really good book, and it's good for beginners also. Let's see. I have some more. Oh my gosh, I have so many more books yet. Okay. The Return of Christ, Why Are We Still Waiting? Also by Pete and Rachel Rue. This one is about full preterism and why are we still waiting for the return of Christ? If you look at, the language in the Bible and the timing statements that were given and specifically what Jesus said. And I refer to this book in a lot of my videos. So this is another one that's really good for beginners. I don't know why he keeps doing that. How is this possible? By Don Preston. And it says 2,000 years ago, some Christians believed the Lord had already come. And so this is another one of his shorter studies, but this is one that I have not started reading yet. So sometimes, Don Preston, he's so smart. It's hard to keep up with him sometimes. Anyway, the Seven Feasts of Yahweh and Their Fulfillment in Yeshua. It was written by David Curtis. And I bought this because I love watching the sermons from Berean Bible Church. I would love to go to one of their eschatology conferences one day. And so David Curtis, I really like his teachings. And so I wanted to get his book. Have not read it yet though, but looking forward to someday getting to this one too. Next, Watching for the Parousia, were Jesus' apostles confused? An in-depth examination and refutation of the claim that in Matthew 24:3, Jesus' coming destruction of the temple with it doesn't even let me finish. So I don't know what it was talking about. But we'll just read what it says here. Watching for the parousia, were Jesus' apostles confused? Yeah. I don't know why it says all of that because I don't think that's part of the title. But anyway, I have this book, have not started reading this yet. So yes, another Don Preston book on my shelf waiting to be read. The Last Days I've Identified by Don Preston. This I did read quite a while ago. And he, it's not a very long book. It's only 140 pages, but he goes through, I believe it's a lot of it is in the book of Daniel, and he goes over specifically what the last days is referring to if you're going to understand what it means biblically. Another one is House Divided, Bridging the Gap in Reformed Eschatology. And this is by David Green, Edward Hassert, and Michael Sullivan. And I found out about this book when I had interviewed Michael Sullivan on my channel because I had read his book, Armageddon Deception, and he told me that he had this book. And I decided that I wanted to get this and read this also. Still haven't gotten to it, but it's just another one of those things. I'm realizing that in order for me to ever get to all these books, I have to stop buying more. But there's always so many more then that I want to read. Like I have like 97 books in my Amazon, save for later cart. It's crazy. Anyway, Seismic Shift, A Pastor's End Times Trek. And this is by Joel Rosenauer. And he has the YouTube channel Past Days with Pastor Joel. And this book is about his journey into full preterism as a pastor, and he lost a lot. He lost his church, he or his position at the church. He lost his family. It's a very personal thing, but he goes over specifically why he made this shift to full preterism. And in the end, it comes to because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And as a Christian, to pretend to believe something that you clearly don't believe the Bible says, that would be a sin. So I really recommend this book. It's a great book that just gives you the perspective of someone who's been through so much, because full preterism just has this stigma over it. And it's crazy to me that it does, because full preterism is the only eschatological view that understands that Jesus did exactly what he said he was going to do when he said he did it. Like, he did everything. He did everything that he said that he would do. And he did it when he said he would do it. And we all believe, that Jesus is the way, that Jesus is the only means to salvation. It is salvation through grace. We have all of these same beliefs. It's just that we see the eschatology of the Bible completely differently than most people. But the fact is that the way that we see it is because we are honoring the time statements of Jesus and the other authors of the Bible. Next is Imminent Judgment in the New Testament by Samuel Dawson. He's the same author that of Revelation Realized. I have not started this one yet, even though I've had this one a while, but to have not gotten to it yet. Next, I have to stop doing that. In Flaming Fire, a study of 2 Thessalonians 1, also by Don Preston. Also another one that is a shorter study, 39 pages only. I can't believe I haven't read it yet, but yeah, I have not read this one yet. The Elements Shall Melt with Fervent Heat, a study of 2 Peter 3 by Don Preston. I started reading this one at a time that I was reading a bunch of other books, like usual, and I realized that I should probably just focus solely on this when I do decide to read it. So I have not gone back to it yet. Looking forward to it, and you know that when I do, I'll probably mention it in some of my videos. Like Father, Like Son on Clouds of Glory, a study of the nature of the second coming of Christ. This is also by Don Preston. I just recently finished this book, and I have talked about it in several of my videos. It's a great book, and it really helps you to understand that Jesus said in John that he would only do the things as the Father has done. And how did the Father come in judgment in the Old Testament? He didn't not come in bodily form. And Jesus said that he would only do things like the Father had done. So that is how really this book starts out, is just basically saying, everyone is looking for this bodily coming of Jesus, but he said he would only do things as the Father had done. And the Father, Yahweh, he never came in bodily form. It was always through other nations that then destroyed these nations that were being judged. So, really good book. Christianity's Great Dilemma. Is Jesus coming again or is he not? This is by Glenn Hill. This is a really good book. It's another one of those books. I did finish this one. This is one that is very easy to read. And actually, I think that once I finish my on time book discussion, I think this is going to be my next one, because it will be an easy one to do a book discussion with. And I think that it will help a lot of people, because it goes over really some basic things about why we just gloss over certain passages in the Bible and don't even want to think twice about them, simply because we were brought up to believe a certain thing, even if that thing that we are believing doesn't match with what Scripture says. So, okay. What happened in AD 70, the destruction of Jerusalem? This one is by Edward Stevens. This one I actually only have in PDF. And while I'm not good reading with PDF, this one was only like 70 pages long. Let me see, how long is it? 64 pages. So it was able to hold my attention long enough to read that one on a PDF. And this one also goes over the events of the destruction of Jerusalem. So that I would recommend that one as well. But yeah, as of right now, these are all of my books that I have on preterism. I do have, you see right now, I have 4 things in my cart, and I have so many books on my save for later list. But at this point in time, this is what I have, and you all have asked, so I shared them. And again, I will put the entire list in the description below this video. Anyway, That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work and would like to become a channel member, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well, or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.